Does anyone ever wish they lived in the 1900s? Like what life would be like if we didn't have phones? It's no wonder we feel inadequate or anxious. It's no wonder that like we're not supposed to be like constantly feeding our brains with everyone else's success and what everyone else is doing. It makes you confused. It makes you feel like you need to be doing more. What a privilege it is that I get to be heartbroken, and what a privilege it is that I get to be going through a stressful time. You are right where you are supposed to be, and you're fulfilling a divine purpose in life that is yours and no one else's. All right, y'all. Welcome to the Talk More with Lore podcast. Today is a very gloomy day in Nashville, but I'm so excited to get into this episode because it is something that's been top of mind, and I feel like it's going to be really helpful and honestly beneficial for me to talk through with you guys too, because it's something that I know all of us deal with. But before we get into the meat of the episode, we're going to start things off with a silly, goofy thing of the week. If you're new here, I start all my episodes with a silly, goofy thing that's happened to me because, as most of you know, I have embarrassing things that happen to me most times of the week. But this week, nothing really super embarrassing comes to mind, but I think this is a fun update. I am kind of flirting with the idea of getting an animal. And so, as you guys know, I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. It's pretty small. It's on the 6th floor. And I've thought about getting a cat. I've thought about getting a dog, but I'm like, do I want to do that? Like, do I want to put myself through that? And that is like the back and forth I've been having for honestly like the past couple of months, like since I moved in, because I work from home and because I live alone, it does get lonely throughout the day. Like I have moments where I wish that I had a little buddy to take on walks and things like that. So that's kind of why I'm gearing more towards getting a dog, because I'm already so active and I already go outside a lot. So like, why not get a dog? But obviously I'm going to have to potty train it. I know nothing about that. I didn't really grow up with a ton of animals. My mom actually hates dogs. But we did have a family dog growing up, and Lexi was like my best friend ever. And so I don't know. So long story short, I've been contacting some golden retriever breeders, and we're just going to see. I'm praying about it. I'm like, this is obviously a 16-year commitment. So it's nothing to just like do off of a whim. So I'm definitely going to think about it. But there is one that's available in the next few weeks. So that gives me time to maybe like buy a cage and like buy all the things that I might need for the dog. So it's definitely something that I'm going to be thinking about. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think it honestly, like the main reason why I want to get one is to give me a reason to be more present, if that makes sense. Because I know that if I have a dog, it will force me to just chill out a little bit. I want one for the emotional aspect of it all, being able to chill on the couch with it, snuggle with it, go to the dog park, play fetch. I just feel like it's really gonna, and I don't want to get too deep into this topic. I could honestly talk about this forever because this is something I struggle with, as most of you know. I just really do struggle with being in the present moment. I struggle with just living my life and not hyperfixating on the future and everything I need to be doing and all of that sort of thing. And so I really do feel like having a dog would help me with that. So that's honestly the main reason why. I think like from a mental standpoint, that's why I want a dog. So yeah, I will certainly keep you guys updated. I know that if I get one, I will be posting it all over my Instagram. So I'm going to be that like annoying dog person. I will say I don't really like other people's dogs. I feel like I have friends that have dogs that will bring them over or bring them to breweries or whatever I'm doing on the weekends. And I'm like, I don't know, it's underwhelming to me. I don't really get very obsessed with other dogs, and I'm kind of the same way with, like, other kids. Like, obviously, if it's, like, my nieces or I know that if I have a kid one day, I will be obsessed with it, but I don't know, I feel like kids and animals, like, if it's someone else's, I'm just like, I don't really care for it," but, I do feel like if it's my dog, I'm going to be absolutely obsessed. So, that's my 2 cents. But let's get into the episode. So, today's episode is called Overcoming Overwhelm. And this is actually going to be something that I'm going to split up into 2 parts. The first part, I'm going to kind of talk about social media and the chaos and the anxiety that comes from being overwhelmed by all the information out there on social media. And then I'm also, going to talk about what that means for fitness too. So I'm going to kind of relay it back to just everything. Yeah, but this is a good topic to talk about really in every aspect of life, honestly, but we're going to kind of hone in on like social media and fitness. So it's common to feel overwhelmed, especially in a fast-paced digital world that we live in. Obviously, we are all on Instagram. Most people are on TikTok, and it's hard to not be on those platforms because it quite literally rules the world right now. And if you like don't have an Instagram, people look at you kind of funny. And obviously, I do it for a living, so it's like a whole other thing for me, I feel like. But for most people, everyone can kind of relate to this topic. I want to uncover some information on overload, practical tips on how to manage it, and just tie in all the things together. But I was also thinking about how does anyone ever wish they lived in the 1900s? Like what life would be like if we didn't have phones? It is a wild concept, you guys. I actually left my phone at home when I went on a walk the other day, and I was just looking around and I was like, observing everyone else in their cars and people I would walk by. Everyone has their AirPods in. Everyone's like scrolling on their phone in their car. If you're at a red light, you're doing something on your phone. It is insane. It is like, I feel like people that from like the 1800s, if they were to time travel into our generation, they would be like, what the heck is going on? This is absolutely absurd. And don't get me wrong, there are so many pros to social media and to phones, like the convenience that you have and the information that you have at your fingertips and the sense of community that you can form online. Like there are a lot of positives, but there also are so many negatives, and it's just something to be aware of. You have this constant influx of information coming to you from social media, news, emails, everything. It is so overwhelming. You have access to over 20 billion people on the internet all at your fingertips, and you're not supposed to. We're not supposed to have access to so many people out there. We have access to so many different stories, so many different ways of life, we're just constantly looking. Like, I know people that live in Europe, and I'm like, well, I wouldn't have known who they are had I not been on social media. Or these influencers that you look at, like people that live in Florida and California. Like, I follow all these girls and influencers that live all over the world, and I'm like, I know everything about your life, and it is a weird concept. And we're not necessarily programmed to be consuming all of that information at one time. Our brains are quite literally always overstimulated because you go from Instagram on your phone to go checking an email, and then you go to calling your friend, and then texting somebody. Like, there's so many different apps and things that you can do on your phone. There's ChatGPT. Like, it's overwhelming. It's how do we keep up with it all? Like, you can't. And sometimes I do wish, like, I would love to go back in time and live in the early 1900s or 1800s or something, and just do that for a little bit and then come back to the present day. Like, that would be, honestly, I don't know. It's just like, in some ways does make me sad because I observe it's just weird. It's a weird, icky feeling sometimes when you're like, "Why the heck do I have access to all these people on TikTok, and what do I do with that?" And you just have to be so, like you have to be so protective of your mind and the information that you're taking in, and, yeah, it's a lot, and I think, like, that's where boundaries come into place. So, when you think about social media, it really is all about setting boundaries because social media is not inherently bad. It's not I don't wanna put a negative connotation to it. It's a tool. It's something that you can use, and for my platform, I try to do my best to just educate and have my page be a place where people feel encouraged or they learned something from a video or they, um, read something that maybe they didn't know about before and inspire women to go into the gym and lift weights, like, all those good things. But even I struggle with things that maybe there's just unpleasant feelings from social media, whether it be comparison, whether it be whatever it is. You look at other people's lives and you look at all the clothes they're wearing, and all of a sudden you look at your wardrobe and you're like, "Oh, well, I need to go to shopping. Like, I don't have as cute as clothes as her," or, "Her hair is so blonde. Like, how did she do that?" Or, "This influencer I saw just got her boobs done. Like, does that make me like, does that mean I need to?" Like, those types of things are very real, and I think they need to be normalized and talked about. But I think that's where boundaries come into place, and so when I feel myself slipping, a couple of boundaries I've set, for myself are putting my phone down pretty early on in the night. I kinda have, like, my ritual at night where I'll put it down and drink my tea, do some journaling, listen to some calming music, read a book, um, and sometimes I will spend, like, most of the time in the early morning off my phone. I wake up around 6, so, just, like, feeding my mind with good things. I will say it does get hard for me because obviously my job is on social media, so setting boundaries for me, it is difficult, and there are moments where I feel just, like, down for no reason. And I know a lot of people can probably relate to this, like, you just feel down, you feel anxious, you feel depressed for really no reason. You're like, "Why do I feel down right now? Like, everything's fine." And I think that that's kind of like the loneliness that comes from social media sometimes, and when I get like that, when I feel myself kind of, maybe this is different for other people because some people do still go into the office and they do still get um, that one-on-one time with people during the day, and I have to be more intentional with that because I'm not around people, I don't have coworkers, so I have to text my friends and say, "Hey, do you wanna go on a walk right now in, like, 15 minutes? Please come with me, like, I need to talk to somebody," or, just, like, learning to pick up the phone when I need to talk to people or whatever it is. I have to be more intentional with spending time with my friends because, like I said, I'm just not around people as much as I used to be, and that's just kind of a boundary I've had to be like, "Okay, I know I need to set a couple of things during the week that are going to get me out of the house, that are gonna get me off my phone," whether it's pickleball, whether it's drinks with a friend, getting wine with a friend I haven't seen in a while, going on walks. And that's kind of another reason, going back to the whole dog thing, where I think that that is really gonna help me kind of, I don't know, just maybe meet new people, like take the dog to the dog park or something. So, something to think about. And then when it comes to fitness on this other side, there's so much information out there. Even I get overwhelmed, you guys. One person saying one thing, another person saying another thing. There's so much information about diet and what to do, what not to do, and all of a sudden I'm scrolling and I'm getting all this information that I didn't even ask for. Someone's telling me to do fasted cardio, and another person's telling me you have to eat when you wake up. Like, okay, like I didn't ask for your opinion on when to eat in the morning. It's like those things that are it just is overwhelming, and it's, like, exhausting sometimes because you're like, "I don't even know what to believe when it comes to fitness. I don't know what to do. I don't know what works for my body." So, I wanna zoom out for a second, and I was thinking about this because I was like, "What did the people in the 1900s do?" Like, obviously, this whole movement of working out, I feel like, is very recent when in terms of lifting weights. When it comes to the female side of things, it's fairly new, and, I mean, obviously, girls back then probably weren't doing that, and so, when you think about how different it is now, it's like, people weren't as, like, consumed or worried about doing that sort of thing because they didn't know, or, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't have, like, constant access to what everyone else is doing, so there wasn't this pressure, but now there is, and, um, I just wanna zoom out and kind of paint a picture of, like, all the noise of, like, what to do, what not to do. You have to sometimes, and this is where it can get overwhelming for me as a person in fitness that's trying to set this example for people. So many people will come to me and ask specific questions about, like, how much they weigh. I want to tone up. What do I do? Do I need to XYZ? Like, it is really hard for me to give an answer to those questions sometimes. And I do macro coaching, and there's certainly tools like counting your macros is a really awesome tool to use to, like, crunch down on your fitness and all these different things. And we have access to so much now that wasn't a thing like 100 years ago, which is a beautiful thing, but sometimes what works for one person might not work for you. And that's kind of where you need to kind of look inward. And I think that's where, like, trusting yourself comes into play. And that's where inviting God in, not to spiritualize this conversation, but you do have to kind of have a gut here, where a gut check, I guess, because sometimes, lifting heavy weights 5 times a week might not work for you. And that's okay. There's are so many different forms of movement and things that bring other people joy. And so for what worked for me for a period of time, for 6 months where I was lifting a lot, it worked, but it might not work for you. And, counting your macros, like, maybe it doesn't work for you, or whatever. I just want to take the pressure off, I guess, of, like, people shaming you or telling you that you need to do something. Like, I will say, like, I feel like the way I train and the way I eat is, like, backed by a lot of science, and I want to educate people on that, but it by no means is it an end all be all. There are so many different nuances, and every person is so different. So I think it just comes down to, what do you enjoy the most and what's working for you. If there's something that, there's so many factors to this. It's like sleep, it's stress, it's like your mental health. It's like, it's not all food and working out because, and so that's kind of what I had to do. Like, after a certain amount of time, when I kind of was feeling a little bit off, my body was just off. Like, I don't really know how else to describe it. I had to kind of reset and ask myself, what's going on? And I didn't even ask anyone else's advice. I just kind of, like, looked inward, and that sounds kind of weird, but I was like, what's going on here? Am I working out too much? Am I eating too much? Like, I didn't really know what was going on with my body because I felt puffy. I felt overweight a little. Like, I know I wasn't. Looking back on pictures, like, I was probably like 10 pounds more than I am now, and I just, like, wasn't feeling right. And it was certainly overeating and stress. I was going through a really stressful period of time. I was overeating without knowing it, and all of that. I just share that to say that it's just important to listen to what your gut is saying to you. Is your gut saying that you're eating too much, or is your gut saying you're eating too little? Or is it saying that, you really need help and you don't know where to start. Okay, great. Let's go get you a personal trainer and talk to someone who knows. Or is it, I I don't know how to lift, but I want to learn. I feel like that could really help. Like, great. Oh, I've been lifting for 10 years and I want to tone it back. I want to do Pilates now. Great. There's so many different things that you can do. And so when with the information overload that comes with working out and fitness and supplements, oh my gosh, don't even get me started on supplements. It's a lot. And I just want to say that. And yeah, so it's just protecting your mind, protecting your boundaries, protecting your gut. And I'm going to drop some, what is it called? Stats for you guys, actually. And then we'll get into some other things. So studies show that 80% of people experience information overload due to constant exposure to data, apps, which leads to daily stress. The average person now consumes 34 gigabytes of data daily, which is roughly 100,000 words. Additionally, about 64% of the world's population uses social media, spending an average of over 2 hours a day on these platforms. So no wonder you're stressed. No wonder you're comparing yourself. It says this constant comparison to others' highlight reels isn't what we're naturally built for, and it can lead to feelings of inadequacy and anxiety. Yeah, like I couldn't have said it any better. It's no wonder we feel inadequate or anxious. It's no wonder that like we're not supposed to be like constantly feeding our brains with everyone else's success and what everyone else is doing. It makes you confused. It makes you feel like you need to be doing more and you aren't doing enough. It makes you feel like you compare your career to someone else's. And I just want to remind you all that you are right where you are supposed to be, and you're fulfilling a divine purpose in life that is yours and no one else's. Everyone's running a different race and everyone's running it at a different pace. So just because someone else is married and has kids, or just because someone else is like popping off on their career, doesn't make you any less than, because that's their life. And newsflash, this is such a good perspective, because once you've made it in life, or maybe you're thinking like, well, if I just finally had my dream career, then I will be okay. Or once I meet my person and get married, then it's going to be okay. There's always going to be something. Like, life is about give and take. And once, let's say you finally do find your husband and you get married, this is going to be crazy thought, but like, okay, you find your person, you get married, and then you lose your job after that and you have to start all over. Or let's say you find your dream career and, but then you and your boyfriend aren't doing too hot and you break. Like, what I'm trying to say is like, there's so many facets of life, and just because one thing is going great doesn't mean everything else will be. And you can't compare, because if you look at someone else's life on the internet in their highlight reels and you think that their relationship is so perfect, or they live by the beach and they take all these cute pictures and they have this perfect baby, well, we don't know half of what's going on. And maybe they are really struggling financially, or maybe we don't know. we don't have to know that information. So all I'm saying is there's always going to be something in life, and you just really have to embrace it all, because that is what makes us human, and that's what makes us it's what makes us human. There's something that, this is unrelated, I'll move on, but there was this reel I saw actually recently, this girl that she was crying in the first clip and said something like she was going through a breakup or something, and she's going through a really dark time. And she said, congratulations, that means that you're human. Or what a privilege it is. I think she said, what a privilege it is that I get to be heartbroken. And what a privilege it is that I get to be going through a stressful time. What a privilege it is that I get to be really down right now. And that was so beautiful because it is a part of the human experience. We are promised suffering in this life. That is something that you can't avoid. It's something that all of us are going to go through in different seasons and different capacities. And it just kind of normalized that for me, because I think sometimes we can look at our lives and be like, this is just such a dark time. I want it to be over. But, you have to understand that you're not the only one that's ever gone through that. If you're going through family stuff, it brings me a lot of comfort to know that, okay, I'm not the only person that's ever gone through hurtful family stuff, or I'm not the only person that's gone through this journey. If you look at like miscarriage journeys or infertility or losing a loved one or whatever it is, not getting into the school you want, like, it's a privilege because it means you're human and it means that this is life. I don't know. I just like that perspective because it's like, we're all going through something. To move on, some like, I guess, practical ways to maybe like get out of a rut when it comes to overcoming overwhelm. So if you're struggling with, let's say, just from like a social media perspective, sometimes I feel like it can be hard to manage your tasks. So I kind of like looked this up, but if you're struggling to like stay on task, or maybe I don't know, I just encourage you to first pay attention to your own race. And then once you get honed in on what God has called you to do, then being like so laser focused on your goals and writing out, I said, highlight small steps that can make a big difference to reduce feeling anxious and overwhelmed. So like if you think about your to-do list or your goals or something, using the Eisenhower matrix where you do urgent versus important. So like write out, I do this all the time, you guys. I've learned over the years, like of working for myself, that I have to stay really on top of my stuff. Because otherwise, like, I let things slip. And so urgent versus important, like I'll write out my whole week on a Sunday of like what I need to do, and I'll do urgent versus important, things that like I need to do today, and things that could probably wait. And that really helps me because then I'm like, okay, I can do these things today, and if I don't get to the rest, then it's no big deal. I can enjoy myself and go on a walk with a friend or whatever it is. I think like for me, it's a little bit different. If there's listeners that like work for somebody, I feel like this might be a little different. But for me, it's like I have to be so intentional with my to-do list because I'm my own boss and like I have to kind of be on top of it. But that's like kind of one way, I guess, to like stay in your lane, if that makes sense. And leaning into your community and into your faith. Like I have to even do this. I have to stop myself. I have to lean into my friendships and my people around me. If I'm feeling down, I really have learned to be strict about texting people because I do get lonely sometimes. And leaning into faith as well. And sometimes like I feel like God speaks to me through other people. So just being intentional with that. And then lastly, fitness and movement, because as we all know, working out can boost your mood, improve your focus, and reduces stress almost immediately when you have endorphins going through your body. It can really help you stay in the present moment. And almost 99.9% of the time, all my most creative ideas come to me when I'm working out or on a walk or something. I get very inspired by movement. Like it really does help in every capacity of life. But that's pretty much all I got, you guys. That was kind of like some more practical tips for you, but I hope this all like made sense. I feel like I bounced around a lot, but tried to organize my thoughts the best way I could. If you guys like this episode, I'd love to hear your feedback. But yeah, let me know, and I'm here for you, and I will see you guys next week. Have a great rest of your day.